All right, guys, it's Crazy Kevin, and I'm here with my co-host Steve, and we're here with Chad Anheliger. Chad, how we doing?
I'm good, man. I'm about a week out from the fight, so life is good.
How do you think you spare going into this matchup here?
I'm gonna do great. I think hold a lot of advantages going into this matchup, and I'm definitely gonna make it go my way. So yeah, I'm confident. I'm ready to go.
What advantages do you think you have going into this fight?
Well, I got twice as many MMA fights for one, so I definitely have some experience. I have a lot more experience in the UFC too, so the experience is definitely going to play a factor. And nobody can really trade with me on the feet standing. I feel confident there. And I've been working on my grappling for a long time. Just recently got my black belt in jiu-jitsu, pushing my wrestling so I can hang with anybody in the world there too. So I just feel like I got the edge everywhere. All I have to do is make sure that I'm on point on fight night and just put it all together. But I definitely have the skills.
When you're preparing for this fight, do you watch a lot of tape on your opponent every time you're about to come up to a fight, or do you find that being too mental, or do you just focus on yourself morally?
Yeah,
Um,
we watch a little bit, but I'm not obsessed with watching tape because it doesn't really matter that much. I
yeah.
watch a little bit to get an idea of them and what how they like to perform, what they like to do. But that's really it. I watch a little bit at the start of camp, and then that's pretty much it. I don't really care about studying up on it too much.
Okay.
Do you have any extra added pressure going into this fight, you think, with a back-to-back losses going into this fight?
Yeah, definitely. It's the last fight on my contract, back-to-back losses, even though I thought I fought well. I didn't have very good performances. So I'm really looking forward to reminding the UFC why they signed me in the first place and getting re-signed after this win.
Thanks.
Now, I know that was a big thing you mentioned in another podcast too, was trying to get re-signed by the UFC. I'm assuming that's another just big goal of yours, just definitely making sure you get re-signed, and that's just your main focus right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I just don't want to be one of those guys that just comes in and goes out. I want to, make a name for myself and, make sure the UFC is feeling like they made the right decision on me when they got me in. So getting re-signed is important to me, and I'm gonna make sure that happens.
Do you think a win just guarantees you to get re-signed, or do you think it needs to be in some sort of spectacular fashion as well too?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of on the edge. I don't know if a win is enough. If it was just a poor performance. I really need to fight well. I think I'm pretty confident I put on exciting fights that the UFC is happy with, but the wins matter. So first and foremost, I got to get that win. And if I can put a bit of a stamp on it, I think it'll just up my negotiation powers when we go to resign.
Absolutely. And you recently were on the Contender Series when you were first coming up. Talk to us about what it was like when you first got that call to get on the Contender Series, and what your whole experience was like coming from the Contender Series.
It was great. The Contender Series was a really awesome experience. It wasn't as clear cut for me as in just kind of one phone call, that changes your life type of thing. It didn't really happen that way because COVID was fucking everything up at that time. So I actually was supposed to be on it, and then all the way up till like a week before, I couldn't travel, so we didn't end up getting that fight. And then I had to wait, all the way till next season, and we still had no guarantee I was going to get another chance. So I was trying to fight locally, and then it fell through, and I had a pretty miserable about 2 years trying to. I was right on the verge of making the UFC when COVID came through, and it really put a wrench in my plans, and things weren't very clear. And then, just all of a sudden out of the blue, next season they called and said, "Yeah, we got you another fight." And they at that time they before they offered it, we'd already figured out the travel things, getting my visa and all that. So I knew that this second one was going to happen when I got the call. So yeah, it was awesome. And then the fight was a great experience. I mean, it's a different fighting just for a win when you actually have to fight great and perform well. It's a kind of a different type of pressure, but I perform well.
When you're in that period of not knowing 100% if you got the fight, like you were saying, are you still training every day as the same as if you were in a camp for an upcoming fight? Or are you kind of just, in the gym a little bit, or is it different, vice versa?
No, I was going hard because I knew I was one phone call away from making a walk to the octagon. So I knew that I was on the verge. So I just kept pushing hard, and kept me driven. So that even with the ups and downs of booking fights, it didn't matter that much. I knew that I was just right knocking on the door of the UFC. So I had to be ready when it opened. So yeah, I was going hard.
Okay. Yeah.
So what is it like to fight in the Apex? How is it different compared to any other arena you fought in?
I mean, it's pretty similar on the way up, through Canada and the regional scene and stuff like that. I really enjoyed when I fought at the T-Mobile, the fans. I get a lot of energy from that. So I perform well under that type of pressure. I know some guys prefer the Apex because it's more of kind of just like it is when you go into the gym and do your sparring rounds. So there's pros and cons to both. I don't really care. Like I'm trying to get out there and get my wins and improve my standing with the UFC. So however they want me to do it, I'm good for it.
Gotcha. Now, when it comes to if you do end up taking the win next weekend, is there any guys you're kind of looking at for your next fight, or you're just kind of waiting to see what the UFC offers you?
Well, I'm fortunate because I'm my record hasn't been so strong with the UFC, so I'm just looking up, and all the names in front of me, I'd love every single one of them. There's not one person in the division that I wouldn't love to fight. So yeah, like for me, it's still wide open. I haven't had a chance to get in there and fight a lot of the guys, so I don't have a lot of repetitions yet. Every name I see, every person that gets signed, every person that's been there for a while, every time there's a 135 fight on the weekend, I'm always just, I'd love to fight either one of them. So it's so wide open for me that I don't even need to pick.
Now you were talking about your record is not the best. I believe you were 2-5 at one point. With that being said, with your record, like how with your mental state were you able to keep pushing forward and able to keep striving to keep fighting, and then on top of that, make it into the UFC?
I just knew that the record didn't represent me. It didn't mean that's who I was. So I just had to keep grinding, and I knew it would right itself. There's just no way that I was going to stay in that area when I was a lot better than that. So I just had to keep going and keep pushing through it. It's just part of my mentality, kind of how I'm built. When you come to these fights, at whatever level, whether you're first starting or you're in the UFC, there's like three things to look at when you fight: your preparation, your performance, and the outcome. And you can't always decide the outcome, but if you prepared well and you fought well, if the outcome isn't exactly what you wanted, you can still be happy with yourself and what you did. So that's kind of how I always looked at my career. I did need a nice shiny record. I knew I could still make the most of it because I was preparing the right way. I was performing okay. I could always perform better, but I was always preparing for those fights the right way, and I knew eventually it would pay off.
Now, what are some things that you do that are maybe unique compared to other gyms or other places for your fight camps?
Well, I just don't have an ego. I don't need to be the guy that's winning every single round, and I don't push myself to injury. I don't care if I need to work in bad positions or good positions. I'm just a student of the game still, no matter how long I've been in it. I just want to get better. I want to get the most out of my rounds always. So I'm not just doing things I'm good at so that I quote unquote win the round. Like I don't care about that. Training is just what it is. It's training. It's practice to me. I'm never gonna leave happy or sad. I'm just indifferent. I go in, I practice, and then I take what I've learned and I apply it to the fights. So yeah, I just have a really open mind and no ego when it comes to training, and I know that that's helped me last this long in the game, and makes me keep getting better and better.
In the weight class you fight at, is it a significant difference than your walk around weight? Are you constantly kind of watching what you eat, or is it until you get a fight, are you in like big preparation when it comes to like cutting weight and all that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't cut a huge amount of weight compared to some of the other guys in the division, so I don't really need to worry too much about it. Like, it's still work. I still got to take care of the weight on fight week, but no, I do whatever I want for food. I eat what's going to allow me to train the hardest, so I don't overdo it. I just make smart choices in my food. But a lot of people and they'll try to act like what they do is the most important. So if you talk to a nutritionist, they think what they do is the most important thing. You talk to dietitian, you talk to people that are specialists in weight cutting. Like everybody thinks they know what to do, but it actually has such a small return. Like it just doesn't. It's just not worth it. I make some smart choices with my food, but I don't obsess about it. I'd rather spend my mental energy and my physical energy training because that's what wins fights. So yeah, I don't beat myself up about dieting.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Now, one thing about you were talking about egos in the gym, and before we started this interview, you were mentioning that you own a gym yourself. Do you have any students that like try to test themselves against you? And if so, I mean, how do you kind of like deal with that when it comes to owning a gym yourself?
They don't get very far. They don't get very, if it's not going to against me for one.
Right.
But we set the right culture from day one for all of our students. And I get people all the time, and I'm sure any other gym owner will tell you the same thing. You get these guys walking in. I can tell by how they talk and how they act that they're not going to be the right fit for the gym. They want to fight. They want to do all these things. They don't want to learn martial arts. So then they don't make it to class. They have a chance to get in. So I don't mind turning people away at the door. So that doesn't come up very often. If
Good.
it does, in a healthy, competitive way. I mean, our jujitsu, we've got really strong jujitsu guys have been doing it forever. I like to push myself in that area and go with the really good jujitsu guys. I like to go against our best wrestlers when I'm wrestling, our best Muay Thai guys when we're doing Muay Thai. Like I do love the competitive push, but no, the real problem egos don't even make it through the door. They don't get past me.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you have a black belt in BJJ. Who'd you get your black belt under?
Brian Bird.
Awesome. Okay, very cool. And with your gym as well too, going back to that, how many students do you happen to have in your gym, and what kind of classes do you run at your gym?
Yeah, we're climbing. This is actually within in a couple of weeks. It's going to be 1 year since we've been open.
Wow.
So our a second location to Champions Creed, so we had a lot of benefits of that. Coming right out the gate with. So I think we're sitting around like 200 adults, and we have a strong kids program too with a lot of kids. So things are going good. The gym's filling up. Classes are getting fuller and fuller. And like I said, we're just about hitting a year, and things are on track. Things are going really well.
With your fight coming up against Gregorio, I'm a gambler. A lot of my friends are gamblers. Do you have a prediction on how that fight is gonna go at the finish, the way, because you get better odds if you bet on the finish and all that? Do you have a prediction on how that fight's gonna go?
I'm going to dominate the fight in the stand up, and then it's going to be up to him if he wants to keep standing there until I knock him out, or he takes some bad wrestling shots, and then I can finish him from there. But for sure, I'm putting the pressure on him striking. He's not going to like it, and he's either going to get knocked out, or he's going to try and force some wrestling and some grappling that I have the advantage in, and then he'll find his end in that way. So can't really say how he's going to react, but that's how I plan on going out there and fighting, putting the pressure on, putting the strikes on him so he can't handle it one way or the other.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. My boy Kev here, he puts out picks every week, and his lock of the week was Gregorio against you.
It's,
Bad.
Yeah, that's what I said. Bad
there he
pick.
goes.
It's a bad
Okay.
pick.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable. Yeah. Anyways, unbelievable. But anyways, going back to that, with you owning your gym, is there any sort of advice do you have for young fighters that are coming up?
I mean, the one thing that everybody just needs to remember, everybody's so ready to go hard out of the gate, but it takes a lot of consistency over a long period of time to really get your goals. The guys that come in real hot, they fade out real fast, and there's a lot of ups and downs through fighting. You need to be built and have the mentality of the long game, and that's where most of the benefits lie. That's my experience.
Now, when it comes to me as well too, I teach it well, basically with Taekwondo. I have about 150 students at my gym. With my gym, is there basically any advice you would give to my students to keep coming every single day to train and keep getting better?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to find what their goals are. Everybody has different goals, so that's an important thing to remember is that you can't tell them what they need to do next. It's up to what they want to achieve. Some people just straight up want a place where they can, let go of the rest of their life and have a decent workout and go home, and they don't care about belts or rankings or competitions. And then you have some people that do. So you just got to know that it's up to them to pick their path. We just help them get there. So don't try to don't try to build these paths for people because you want them. It only comes down to what they want.
Fair enough. No, that's definitely some good advice. Chad, before we let you go, is there any last message that you would want to give out to anybody that's watching this podcast?
Yeah, just to you, that was a really bad pick. Rario's gonna get
Unbelievable. Yeah.
so yeah, I appreciate your boy calling you out on that.
I know. I
so
told him.
maybe we'll have to do an interview after, and you know, you can eat some crow for that. But other than that, you're in there's a big line of people that are picking against me, and that's okay. I'm pretty used to that in my career, and I actually perform my best with the odds stacked against me, and the pressure is high. Like the pressure of this contract is going to bring out the best of me for sure. So I'm looking forward to it. And my team, my GM Champions Creed, you know, everybody's supporting me. I know they're all watching it, cheering me on, and I'm going to give them something to cheer about for sure.
Fair enough.
Absolutely.
Awesome, Chad. Chad, thank you so much for coming on, and we're looking forward to seeing your fight March 16th. And thanks again.
Yeah, it was great talking to you, Chad.
All right, boys. Thanks.
Thank you. See you later.